Serving at community school librarians in times of crisis. So when I thought of this title, I said, you know, we have enough remote learning. We really do. But serving our community is something that we do all the time, remotely, physically during the summer, during weekend. We all serve our community, and we are in times of crisis right now. So this is anything. I told the panelists, anything that you want to share is game, because this is how we're going to grow, and this is how we're going to help each other out. And I know that each one of our panelists have a strength and a skill, and I know that's going to come out in our presentation. So just to let you know that one lucky winner is going to win one of these awesome web arounds. This is a portable green screen. The Web Around company is donating one. I'm going to go through the registration emails to find the winner. It pops up and it goes on the back of a chair. They're going to mail it to the winner directly, and I love it because you can use it for anything, but especially now when you want to hide, if you're using Google Meet, you could hide the kitchen mess by just putting that web around right behind you. So that's our little commercial for the web around. It's a pop-up green screen. It goes right on your chair. Okay. So we have myself, Kristina Holzweiss, my email, Librarian, my Twitter is Librarian, and people ask me why. Well, that's what kids say anyway. They say Librarian. They don't say Librarian. So, I'm not gonna, I might as well join them. And it is Bunhead with Duct Tape is my website. With me is Stony Evans, my co-author of Hacking School Libraries. Hello, Stony.
Hello. And
hello.
Hopefully I'm going to be able to hang in here. My router has already locked up on me twice and I've restarted it. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I don't get booted again.
Okay. And Stony, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm currently the school librarian at Bethel Middle School in Bryant, Arkansas, large school district. I serve about 700 6th and 7th graders and about 50 teachers. So very pleased to be here with everyone today.
Awesome. And Stony, thank you for your service.
Oh, glad I'm honored to be able to serve in the Army National Guard. So it's been very good to be able to return back to my old unit. I got back in last year in February, so it's been good to be back.
So yes, I want to thank you for that. Whoops. Did I do the whole, oh yeah. So I did the slide in the wrong order. So I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to jump to this slide before I do other introductions. This is from a professional development course I just took the other day. I would like you to look at this. Just take a look at this for a second. And who'd like to just jump in and say, what do you see when you see those words? Or that phrase, or whatever.
Is now here.
Possible is now here. Does anyone see anything else?
Possible, I snow here.
I like that one.
Possible is nowhere.
Possible is nowhere. Exactly. So it really is a point of perspective. You can look at this opportunity right now, or the situation as an opportunity that possible is now here. Possible is now here to advocate for your role in the school. Possible is now here to connect with those teachers who didn't see collaboration as something important. Possible is now here to show the power of databases and ebooks and those web tools you've been trying to share. Possible is now here. But for others, possible is nowhere. Possible is this time is a negative time. And I understand there's it's a crisis going on, it's a hardship, but there are many ways to look at different things. And when we meet challenges like this, that's when we grow, because we have to, but that's what makes us stronger. So I think possible is now here. And I hope that through this webinar, you get the same feeling. So we have Anita Cellucci. Anita, can you tell us about yourself? Hello, Anita.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I thought I unmuted and it didn't work. I'm a school librarian a high school librarian in Westborough, Massachusetts. I'm also the K-12 department head, and I also teach online for a graduate course in diverse literature. I'm happy to be here, happy to work with you, Kristina and Stony and everyone. And what else was I supposed to say?
Well, Anita was the 2019 Mover and Shaker,
Yes.
right, for the Library Journal, and she's also a finalist for 2016 School Librarian of the Year. So I'm going to toot your horn for you.
Yes, and both of those things were in relation to social emotional learning in the library.
Yes, Anita has a wonderful Facebook group, and she does a lot of great things using literature and Makerspace, bringing the social emotional learning to her kids. So thank you. Tim, I'm sorry that I did not get to update yours, but Timothy Horan, Dr. Timothy Horan, who I worked with on Long Island, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a librarian in a pretty big high school on Long Island, and I'm a public librarian also, part-time, and I recently became the editor of Voya magazine. So that's probably the biggest change in my life recently. And I'm a writer and an author, and I don't know, anything else?
Well, Dr. Timothy Horan, he wrote about the writing centers in our book, Hacking School Libraries, and he has 2 books, right, Tim? What are they called?
I do. I actually have them right here. They're a series. They're called Create Your School Library Writing Center. And this was my first. This is grade 7 through 12. And the other one, red one, is grades K through 6. Is that actually reading backwards?
Oh, no, we just have it on the presentation. So they're looking at our screen right now.
Oh, okay. So,
or I can't see much else.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. And I knew when I was 5 years old, I was going to be a writer. I fell in love with books and I was going to be a writer. So, dreams are coming true.
Awesome.
And everyone can see I'm sitting in a library right now. Yes? No? Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
This is my house, and I built the library myself because I'm a good carpenter. And this was another dream come true. I've always wanted the library in my house, and now I have it. So dreams do come true.
Nice.
You're a
Jealous.
maker librarian.
Yeah. Dreams come true.
Awesome. We also have Sue Kowalski from Pine Grove Middle School. Sue,
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. And like everybody else, I'm thrilled to be here and glad to be a part of this group. And also, I'm a middle school librarian in East Syracuse, New York, and grades 6 through 8. And my passion, which is taking a huge hit like all of us, is really the empowering student leadership. That's kind of my thing, and that's been a tough transition, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, and I see names here whose ideas I've been inspired by and stolen and adopted and adapted. So nice to meet you all in person. So glad to be a part of the conversation today.
This photo does not capture Sue's energy or spirit enough, just so you know. And Sue is you won the I Love My Librarian Award in 2012.
I did, yes.
And you're a library mover and shaker of 2016. Is that it? Or 17?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I did my homework.
I think 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Library Journal Mover and Shaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have Todd Burleson. Let's see if Todd's feeling well, if he's in the house. Hopefully Todd's here. Hello, is Todd here? Todd wasn't feeling well and he had messaged me, so I wasn't sure if that he was in today. So if anyone can check out the chat, see if Todd's here or in the room, I'd appreciate it because I'm looking at this screen.
No, I don't see Todd.
I don't see Todd. Okay.
Nope.
Todd he was not feeling well. He does have slides for us. Todd is a dear friend. Todd is the 2016 School Library Journal School Librarian of the Year. And Todd is, I actually was able to visit Todd's school when I went to Chicago. He has a wonderful, wonderful school district and he's done some amazing things. So hopefully Todd maybe jumps on later if he's feeling better. And if not, let's send our good vibes to Todd that he feels better. So I just want to let you know that we have a lot, we're showing slides today, but we do have a lot of resources that we'd like to share with you. So if you'd like to just take a photo of this screen, write down the link or take a screenshot of the QR code. This is a Wakelet collection of resources that our panel is adding to. So we might not have all the resources up right now, but there are about 10 to 15 links and PDFs there right now. But we will continually add to this. And so you have access to these resources beyond this webinar. Things that we just couldn't get to or just websites we'd like you to see. So again, that's our QR code and that's a Wakelet collection. I love Wakelet. It's like a Pinterest and steroids. If you haven't used it, it is amazing. It is free. It includes immersive reader so your kids can go to websites through Wakelet and it will read to them and it will also translate. There are a lot of other features, but that's one of my favorite features of Wakelet. Okay, so I'm going to begin with some of the things that I've been doing to connect with my community in this time of crisis. And the first one is Buncy's Hugs for Heroes. Buncy is actually a local company on Long Island. I'm very excited to say that. And one day I was looking at Amy Stower is a Buncy ambassador, and she had a project called Holiday Hugs, and it was messages for patients in hospitals. And so I thought, wow, that's a really powerful project. And so I reached out to her saying, you know what, maybe we could do that for our first responders and essential workers. And you know how Synergy works. Barbie Monty all of a sudden created this Buncy board. And a Buncy board is basically a board where you can put Buncies, and Buncies are virtual cards, but much, much more. You could do presentations, games, a lot of different things. And so she created this board for the first responders, and also it just was coming in all at once. So here is the link to the blog for Buncy Hugs for Heroes. You could just Google Buncy Hugs for Heroes. The last time I checked, we had about 240 of these virtual cards. You can join our board yourself. You could have it as a project for your kids, and you could also share them with any first responders in your area. I actually opened a YouTube channel because I have a lot of these videos that I've made. So I actually made a tutorial video. If you just look for me on YouTube, I made a tutorial video with my son. And now one of his projects in school every day for the art project is one of the options is to make a Buncy Hug for Heroes. And so his classmates are watching his video. So I think that's pretty powerful, empowering my son and empowering other children to make a difference and to try to, I know they can't solve the problem. And I know they can't find a cure, but they could certainly help out with making a difference, making people feel good about it. So this is a project, Buncy Hugs for Heroes. The second thing I want to share with you is something that I've done in my school twice this year, and it was a faculty distress zone. And so in November And one time in January, I opened up our innovation lab and I just said it was a distress zone for teachers. And so we had someone from the local mental health organization come. We were talking about essential oils. We were doing bibliotherapy, coloring, art, all kinds of things. The second event we had, for a few periods, I had dogs come in just for the teachers. And I know a lot of us bring in dogs for our students, but I want to make something exclusive for our teachers and make them feel welcome. So I opened up the Innovation Lab and it was a hit. So that's something you could do, a de-stress. You know, we have all these Google Meets and Hangouts and presentations, but do we ever have one just to hang out? I don't know about that. We always have an agenda and an assignment. So this was, you know, you might want to do like a coffee talk and have people just open up a Google Meet for an hour and have people come in and out. This website, A Soft Murmur, is amazing. It's very simple. You just go, oh, who said, oh? Someone said, oh. A Soft Murmur is a great website. So I've had kids in our innovation lab who are just relaxing and reading. I put on a soft murmur in the background and I can mix the sounds with crickets and waves and white noise, and it's just ambient sound. So this is something that you could share with your teachers right now. This is something that you could share with your students. A nice sound in the background as people are working or meditating. So again, I'm not going to focus all on remote learning during this presentation, but these are some social emotional learning, and this is some self-care for you. And this one, I've used Book Creator. So if you use Book Creator, think about using Book Creator in innovative ways. So I found that the first week or two, we were inundated with people with professional development, and I kept answering the same questions over and over. So I created a Flipgrid book, and you can find that on my website. You can sign up and I'll send you the link. And it has videos, and it has screenshots, and it's a book. I know people can find these things on their own, but I made levels 1, 2, and 3. And so people can level up and down and they can learn at their own pace, because sometimes you go to these webinars and either they might be too easy or they might be too difficult and you can't catch up. So use Book Creator, or if you want, use Buncee or Google Slides. However you want to make a presentation, embed video and text. And this one is one that I made for students. It's a how-to book, how to write. I talk about the writing process of my Makerspace books, but in the book, a friend of mine actually translated it. So kids can listen to it in English, they can read it in Spanish, and then it inspires them to write their own how-to book. So I'm trying to find ways to be more proactive and to save time. This took me a lot of time to do, but once the product is made, I can share it out. So those are my hacks. Those are my ways that, you could help people in crisis. And one more way is, again, for the distress, one of the teachers said, oh yeah, you're gonna have dogs come in, but I'm not free that period, so I'm gonna miss them. Well, this is my hallway at school, and here's a video monitor that we have. And I know now the biggest thing is live webcams. Well, this was in January, and I use explore.org, and I just put up pandas. You will not, I've only been in my school for 2 years, you will not, yeah, it was so amazing. All these people came into my room to say hello that I had never met before. I've experimented. I've shown aerial shots. I've shown like the Great Wall of China. I've shown aquariums. The most popular videos are puppies and pandas. You cannot go in my hallway without people going ooh and ah if I have a puppy or a panda on the screen. So there's a QR code. You could look at my live webcams. I'm sure by now you might have your own collection. But again, maybe instead of all these academic things, maybe just a Google Hangout, and maybe start the Meet or the Zoom session with just like a minute of watching puppies and pandas. The people will feel so much better and more relaxed, and then that you could talk about the academics and the professional development. So get people in the right mindset. And the last one is my social distance challenge, which is through Flipgrid. There are 50 different activities. Again, try something at the beginning of a Google Meet or a Zoom, something that will engage your audience in a fun way. So there's all these different challenges. If you'd like to join us, great. It's flipgrid.com/global social distance. And there's 50 different challenges, and they're all fun and not all academic. And now we're up to my co-author, Stoney Evans, who's going to talk about his hacks for schools in crisis.
I'd like to share just a little bit about the journey leaving the high school that I had been out at for the last 9 years, and then coming to middle school. It was, and I started off in middle school, band directing, but coming back to middle school has been quite a shock because I see I'm blessed in that I see every one of the students every week. All of the English classes come to the library. So I had to get used to working by myself and with a much higher volume of books than I've been used to in my career in librarianship. And I'm sure Sue and any other middle school librarians know exactly what I'm talking about. So I never got around to even sharing or creating a Google Classroom this year. I didn't get to investigate the ebooks and audiobooks. I just never had the opportunity. So when we were put into quarantine and our school was closed, the first thing I did was create a Google Classroom. And I began thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to reach out to these kids because, I'm thinking of the regulars that are constantly in the library. How do I reach out and let the kids know what we have available? I mean, it was a crisis, absolutely. And I started investigating ebooks and audiobooks and how I could share those with kids. So I immediately reached out to the ELA teachers and said, hey, here's my Google Classroom. Please tell your kids to join. Within a week, I already had 200 students, and those are probably the 200 students that are the regulars. And a few more have trickled in as the weeks have gone on, but I was quickly able to add a s'more. I got to experiment some with s'more and created links for all of the ebooks and audiobooks. And then I shared, with all of the teachers, hey, I've got virtual library set up. Please tell your kids. And if there's anything that I can do to help you, I wanted the teachers to know immediately that I was there to support them. And then can I switch to the next slide?
Sure.
You may have to do that. Okay, great. And then I began seeing, as all of you did, it was so exciting to see, oh my goodness, all these authors that were doing virtual read alouds. So Kwame Alexander was available, I saw, and I shared that on my social media because most of the teachers that I work with are on my social media. So they saw it and they shared it, and it just got shared over and over again, which is exactly what we want. Lauren Tarshish, I know my kids, I can't keep the I Survived series on the shelves. So when I saw that she was reading the I Survived, the Sinking of the Titanic, I shared that out, and some kids responded to that. So that was good in those first few weeks. However, the district decided that my role, along with all of the other non-core teachers, would change. So next slide, if you don't mind, Kristina. Thank you. So I became ELA virtual support. Now I had already pitched to the administrators, hey, I would be willing to come into the teachers' Zoom classes if they wanted me to book talk and do different things. But at the district level, apparently it was decided that we would all have a different role. So my role, it has been for the last 3 weeks to make parent contacts for students that are not turning in work. And what we're seeing is a lot of students not turning in work. And then checking in on students. And at first I didn't know how I felt about that. But as I've seen how it is frustrating for the teachers to change over to this completely digital format of teaching that they haven't been trained to do, they're not used to this unless they've been in a graduate class and experienced digital learning. It's been quite a shift for them. So I went all in and have offered to support however I possibly can. just some real quick stories of what I've experienced over the last few weeks. I remember sending or calling a mom to let her know that, that her son hadn't turned in his work, and if was there anything that I could do to help. And she was really frustrated because she was a nurse and had 3 kids at home that she's now having to, help get their work done and make sure that they're doing that. And I could tell she was really frustrated. So I listened and offered to help however I could. And I followed it up with an email to her, thanking her for her service, in healthcare, and got a really positive email back from her. So I began to see through a different lens, what these parents are being asked to do. And on top of possibly very stressful, jobs and dangerous jobs at that. So that's where my school needed me. That's where the learning community needed me. And I've been very happy to assist them with that. Now, what about the kids in that Google Classroom? I stopped putting as many book, author advertisements on there. And what I've been doing at least once a week in that Google Classroom is just posting, and you can see the clip there. How's everyone? I miss seeing you all, each day at school. And I marked through the kids' information, so their information is protected. But one girl said that she missed going to the library, that it's her favorite place in the school. And, and another one, I see this a lot each week, that they really miss it. And so that's an opportunity for me to say, hey, we miss you too. Remember that we have, these ebooks out there. If there's anything that I can do to help you. Or one kid said that, her cat had kittens and she was really excited about that. She needed to tell somebody that, and I listened to that and I responded. So, so that's what I've been doing for these last 3 weeks. Is it what I've been used to in the past? No, but maybe it doesn't need to be right now. Maybe this is exactly what I need to be doing. So that's what I wanted to share. So those hacks are just really serving and connecting in a different way.
Thank you so much, sharing that, Stony. I love that. I miss going to the library. It's my favorite place in the whole school. I just love that. And I think you're doing a wonderful job. You're doing what needs to be done. And that's, we're all in crisis and you are stepping up to the plate. Love that. Just going to go to the next presenter at the end. We can give Q&A, unless anyone has a question right now for Stony. Does anyone have a question? You could just jump right in. Again, I can't see microphones. I can't see chat. So if anyone has a question. I'll wait I'll pause one more time and then I'll go ahead.
This is Michelle from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Stony, would you be willing to share that some more that you created with the ebooks and audiobooks?
I sure can. In fact, while we're going here, if it's okay, I'll just share the link in the chat box there, and I can also put it on. Oh my goodness, what did we have that you?
The Wiki collection. Sure.
I'll add it to that. I had a blog link on there, but I'll make sure that I share that. And it was my first attempt at s'more, so but really easy. In fact, after I shared it, I had several teachers that were curious about it, so I was able to share that with them, and they created newsletters with it. So it was really easy to use and very attractive. And after you have so many hits on your page, it actually unlocks the statistics, and you can see how many people have viewed your page. So that's kind of interesting to follow. I like statistics, and yes, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you.
One more question. Were you able to find, what I'm having trouble finding are multi-use ebooks?
Yes, and I have you, and I didn't mention it, but you'll see that we've got our ebooks through Follett, and they were there before I came this year. And I've noticed that I remember years ago when I first started purchasing ebooks and experimenting with that, it seemed like, endless access points. They were just there forever. Then all of a sudden they put a limit where you can only, I guess, check them out 10, 20 times and then they go away, or they're only there for a year. So I have not found, Michelle, maybe somebody else here in this learning community that we have here today could talk about their solution for that, but I have not been able to find through Follett, a solution to that. I have not.
Well, I find Follett and Mackin, they both have some multi-user ones and some single-use ones. And then sometimes it's, forever or just for that year. If you're looking for fiction, it is tougher. I love the nonfiction books. My favorite are the capstone ones, but when I taught middle school, so I would go up to maybe 8th grade or 7th grade with the capstone books, but they would read to you and they were multi-use and the whole school could use them. But again, those were nonfiction.
And there's lots of different suggestions being posted in the chat room. And if anybody thinks there's, I know it's different in different states, but certainly if you wanted us to put that in the wait, I guess is what I'm saying. If you think it's not state or system specific, if it's a general interest, it's true to be for everybody. And I know people have mixed opinions on promoting the stuff that's free and then versus using it, but not necessarily kind of balancing between the promotion and the using just for, because it's not going to be there forever.
But it's a good time to advocate for tools that you've been wanting to get and databases and books. It is a great time to advocate for them in the future. Okay, I'm going to go to now Anita. Thank you so much, Tony, for sharing.
Hi, everyone. So I'm in a little bit different of a situation. I am in a high school, and there are about 1,200 students in the high school. However, we are on week 6 of our remote learning, and we were able to jump right into everything because over the last 2 years, we've used remote learning for snow days. So we were in a good situation. Most of our teachers are trained on how to do different things digitally. And the library, 10 years when I took it over, I actually came from middle school and went into high school. But when I transitioned to the high school, it was mostly mostly a print library. And I completely transitioned to bringing in a lot more digital resources. So we're really in a good spot for that. But one of the first things that I did for teachers was to create some of these lists of things that you all have been talking about. So I did put together a lot of ebook resources. Some of them are Massachusetts specific. I saw somebody was mentioning Sora. We actually, through the Mass library system, we have a Commonwealth ebook collaborative that we can pay to join and use those through Overdrive. So that's been super helpful. And some of those are simultaneous use, and you can also purchase classroom sets. So all of that's been very integral to what we've been doing. But I also put together some open educational resource lists and put together library e-resources. So things that were already available in the high school library, and then things that are available in the local library and in the Boston Public Library. We can all get e-cards for the state. As long as you live in the state, you can get a Boston Public Library card, which gives you more resources as well. So I've been promoting a lot of those things. However, something that's been super helpful for students, I actually set up, I've always used Remind with my students for clubs and things like that. So I set up a Text the Librarian Remind so that students can text me when they're working on something or they need something from the resource. And that's been fantastic. And then they can also schedule appointments with me, or the Ask the Librarian is that I just open up we use Google Meet. So I've been opening just Google Meets during our, we have office hours and independent learning time, because we actually have a full schedule that we're working on. So we start at 9 in the morning and go to 1 in the afternoon. And then there's Fridays, we have open time for office hours and independent learning time. So that's been super helpful in ways to interact with students. I'm still running my clubs too, which I'll talk a little bit about in the next slide. if you wouldn't mind, Kristina, thank you. So two of my most popular clubs are a teen advisory board, where we have had a grant for the last 2 years around mental health, and we work with a local organization called the Shine Initiative. And this Mind Matters app that you see here, this is actually put out through them. So I've been promoting that through counseling, and a lot of these things were happening before we actually started the remote learning, but it's been a good opportunity to promote them again. And my teens are still meeting and working on ways to bring some of the things that we were doing in the school. We had created a stress less space. And so we're working on, some other initiatives and ideas of when we do get back into the building, what to do with our grant money, but also sending things out through social media and thinking about ways to just keep checking in with student body. Another thing I've been doing with my other group is with my poetry group is actually creating poems that are for students at the other levels. So the mixtape there is actually the poets created videos for our grades 4 through 6 students. And we just sent that down on a Flipgrid for them to watch and comment on. So we just sent it. So I'm really excited to hear the feedback from those students on that. And then in the past, I've worked with special ed academic support classes and run 6-week sessions of mindfulness and, working with students on individual education plans and how to use mindfulness and meditation as a way, and body and self-awareness as a way to relax before they do homework and testing and things like that. So I've been doing videos of mindfulness to be put into the Google Classrooms. So that's something that just started over the past week. So again, I'm interested to see how students respond to that, but it's nice to continue that because we were doing a lot of that in the classroom and now it's, extended. Let's see. So I think we can go on to the next slide. Thank you. And then the other thing that's, again, a continuation has been working, co-teaching with students in Google Classroom. So as I said, our teachers are, in a place that they're comfortable, they're ready to do more work. We are actually, keeping social emotional aspects in mind when we're doing all of this. And one way that we're doing research is through guided inquiry design, which does weave in those opportunities for pause. So for students to reflect and to do things a little bit different with research where we're there with them. So that's been interesting to see how that's translating into remote learning. And it's still giving me a lot of FaceTime with students because we're using small groups. I'm meeting with them individually for their inquiry questions, but also doing co-taught classes. Along with lessons, I'm doing some of the same things that probably many of you are also doing with book talks and joining classes for different literacy activities as well. So, so that's a lot of what I've been doing.
Awesome. Anita, I love what you've been doing. Is that Shine app available for people who are not in Massachusetts?
It is. Actually, I put some apps, some other apps that are great for this time for adults, families, students, in a document on the Wakelet. So that is one of them that's there, and it is available for everybody.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Are there any questions for Anita?
Yes, I have a question. Are you in a community where all of the students have devices and Wi-Fi? We would not have been ready on a moment's notice, like a snow day, to go remote.
So good question. Yes. So as I mentioned, like over the last few years, we've been, gearing up for these types of things. And I think it was maybe 4 years ago, we started every student with a device. And in the high school, that translates to grade 9 is given a Chromebook. And then 10 through 12, it's actually their own device. But if a family has a financial issue, then they're given a device. So we did have some situations of students that did not have Wi-Fi. And the town actually, I mean, I'm in a really, good situation financially in the district where they're able to purchase things for students, and the public library as well brought things in for hotspots for students, and even some teachers needed that as well. So at this point, everyone is online. So we're very fortunate in that respect, for sure.
Are there any other questions for Anita? Okay, thank you, Anita. We're going to do a Q&A at the end. Did someone else have something? No, I think I'm saying, okay. So we're going to do a Q&A at the end, but I'm going to go to our next panelist. Thank you so much, Anita. I'm going to definitely check out that Shine app. Now, Dr. Timothy Horan, next up, talking about his writing, the learning centers in his writing centers in his library, and other ways you can connect with your community.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say to everybody is, I said earlier, I'm the editor of Voya magazine, and if you want to get published, email me. And if you have a good idea and we think it'll work out, you might be able to get an article in there. So you could send it right to my email, which is irishwriter@aol.com, and writer is spelled with a Y. And also please follow me on Twitter. And where it says @SL _writing, it's School Library Writing Center. That's the thing that I created. So again, if you want to get published, contact me, and maybe it'll happen. Okay. So Kristina, next screen, please. So one of the things that I'm doing a lot is I make screencasts, and I know a lot of people are using Screencastify, but I'm using Google Meet, and it's working out really well for me. I'm familiar with it, and I'm good at it now. I've been practicing. So I'm doing screencasts, and I try to do it every day if I can, and I always try to keep them a little bit short. But the strange thing about screencasts is that I think I've talked for like 5 minutes, and it's actually makes a 15-minute video. I'm not really sure how that happens, but I think to myself, kind of like the things that I teach in school to classes, I do screencasts of those things. Like, for example, my bullet points here, how to use our databases. And I started out with just an overview so people can get sort of a global understanding. And then I touch base with some of the teachers about their specific projects. Like some of the English teachers are doing like this argumentative essay. So I picked out the two databases that would work best for that particular project, and I made probably like a 15-minute screencast for that, and it's for the students. So I set up a Google Classroom, and I call it the Hauppauge High School Virtual Library. So it's a virtual library, and so the students can get in there and watch a video, and maybe watch it several times. And I kind of take my time, and I'm very clear about everything, and I explain it. And I'm always offering students to contact me, either email me, or we could do a one-on-one with no faces, just voices and screen. I had to write a thesis statement. I did three screencasts there, 3 different types of thesis statements. Now, I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but the public libraries on Long Island, you can get a library card now from home online, and it takes about 2 minutes. So for the students who don't have library cards, they can get one, during the quarantine. And we were talking about the ebooks earlier. We do Sora, and our local public libraries do Sora also. So our students, when they have library cards, they can link their school account to the public library and actually get all of the public library ebooks. It's awesome. Thousands of them, free. Our public libraries also have really nice online resources, really good databases, some databases that we don't have. And I also did one of how to write a short story. I offered that to everybody, how to write a short story, because I like to write fiction also. No takers on that one yet, but I really like doing the screencasts. Kristina, next screen, please. One thing that I'm doing, and this is more of a creative thing, is I'm doing some screencasts of Ray Bradbury short stories because it's one of my favorites. What I do is I find them online, full text, and I do a dramatic reading of it, but it has to be a short story. I won't read a long short story. I'll read a short story. And I put the text on screen, and I'm very clear. I tell students that they can close their eyes and listen, or they can follow along. And I've done The Sound of Summer Running, a great short story, All Summer in a Day, which I think a lot of people here probably read that. It's about the girl on Venus, planet Venus, where it rains all the time, except every 7 years, the sun comes out for 1 hour. 1 hour. And one girl gets bullied. Maybe I shouldn't do any plot spoilers. It's a great short story. Go read it. Go read All Summer in a Day and The Pedestrian. Now, when I do these, before I read the story out loud, I give some backstory on it. Like The Pedestrian, Ray Bradbury left a restaurant once with a friend of his, and they were just walking on the street, and a police officer pulled up in his car and interrogated them. Where are you going? Why are you doing this? Why are you walking? And it bothered Ray Bradbury so much that he went home and wrote a short story called The Pedestrian about a guy who's walking and gets arrested. Great short story. So go ahead and read that one. And so I do this at the beginning, setting characters, themes, backstory, and I actually decided not to recap it at the end. I just kind of end the story and I repeat the title, and kind of that's that. Okay, but I'm having a lot of fun with those, and I don't know if they're being read and consumed by students. There's no way I could know that, but I think they probably are. So it's a cool way, I think, to get students kind of turn on to reading and Ray Bradbury because he's just so good. Next screen, please. Oh, if you haven't reached out to your special needs teachers, reach out to them. This is like a gold mine that no one is digging into. They are the sweetest kids you will ever meet in your life. I love them. They're my favorites. Someone once said to me, have you ever met a mean person who has Down syndrome? No, they're all nice. They're all really nice. So we're doing this. So I work with them, and I do these projects with the special needs students. I have a great rapport with the teacher, and she always has 5, 6, 7 special needs students. I love them. So we do a project. I designed it, and it's kind of a multimedia project, different topic. And there's some technology, there's some writing, there's a poster that they draw. They find a picture on the internet. We put all the pieces together. We back it with construction paper. We laminate it. Beautiful. We hang it in the library. The project we're doing now is holidays. And I put this together. I'm really proud of it. Now, we can't get into the library to read books. So I said to myself, well, I'm going to find, holidays. It's going to be holiday in America and its counterpart in another country. I said, okay, I'm gonna find websites for these students. Now, honestly, they're really they're 17, 18, 19, 21 years of age, and they're really on a 5 or 6 year level, maybe 7. I couldn't find the right websites. So I did something that I'm really thrilled with and proud of myself. I said, this is going to be video based. So I spent hours on YouTube, and I found really nice videos on the different holidays that weren't too difficult, weren't too easy, weren't too childish, were interesting, were rated G. Be surprised how hard that is sometimes. And you're getting part of this chart that I made, not the whole thing, obviously. So on the left, you've got New Year's Day in America. On the right, New Year's Day in China, Chinese New Year. So we're starting with the holiday in America, and then later we're going to do the foreign country. And what the kids are doing now is, and I'm really surprised that this worked. I suggested this. They're drawing pictures at home. They're drawing pictures, beautiful, the great artists. The mom, dad, guardian are taking a picture of it with a cell phone, emailing it to me, and I'm putting it up on the Google Classroom. It is so cool. It's so cool. So we're having a great time with that. And I picked really cool holidays. We have one student is from Turkey, she's a Muslim, so I made sure that I got Ramadan in there. And I've got, what else do I have? I got Halloween. Surprisingly, none of them picked birthdays. I thought they'd all pick birthdays. None of them picked birthdays. And we're having a great time with it. So I love these kids. They're my favorites. That's going to be our secret, though. Right? Okay. And Kwanzaa was really cool. I found some really cool Kwanzaa videos. So next screen, please, Kristina. Oh, so when a student watches the video, every student on the Google Classroom has a worksheet, what I'm calling a worksheet, my air quotes right here. And normally, if they came to the library, we'd have them write it out, in pen, in different colors. But again, I'm really proud of this. I think this is innovative. Every student has a worksheet. So on the top left where it says student's name, it actually has the student's name. So I made 8 of these with 8 students. Every student has a sheet. That my American holiday is they type it in. I could type technology, the date, 3 facts about the holiday that they got from the video, watching the video, and in the bottom, that personal touch. I chose this holiday because. And so they have to write something original, affective learning. Why did they choose it? Why do they like it? Okay. I think that's about it for me.
Awesome. I like the way that you use really helping out the special education students. I could see this project working with the English language learners. That would be a great connection. And these are people, this is great ways to collaborate and collaborating with your public library. So you might have already collaborated with your public library or with your special education students or your English language learners. But this is a way to further the collaboration. And if you haven't collaborated yet, this is a perfect way to begin that collaboration. And so when you do go back to school, you have this relationship already that you can continue on.
Great idea.
So does anyone have any questions for Tim? Okay, we'll give it another second and then I'll go to the next panelist. Great, thank you so much, Tim. We're going to do a Q&A at the end, so stick around. And we've got Sue.
Hi, everybody. Well, I kind of feel like what I'm doing now is an episode or a series of Flea Market Flip. Do any of you know that show?
Yes.
They get challenged to go through a flea market and find something that they can repurpose, recreate, redo, reinvent. And that's what I feel like I'm doing. And I know that sounds hodgepodge, but for the most part, I've been feeling kind of hodgepodge. We, like most of the country, March 16th was our last day, and off we went with a scramble, and make it work, like starting the next day. So things that we have going for us, a lot of good things. We have a very supportive district. We have one-to-one Chromebooks, which doesn't necessarily translate to access initially, but that has happened. But we've got diverse populations in terms of what access looks like and what homes look like and what family support looks like. I really feel like I guess what was my passion, or I guess still is my passion, I shouldn't be past tense, the thing that drove me every day to try new things were the students, as cliche as that sounds, and putting them in the lead and empowering them to figure things out and kind of take direction. That's been a huge, huge shift. Initially, I thought, great, I'll put these same kids, my regulars, my groupies, my ISAF, and I thought, oh, they'll probably have lots of time on their hands, and they're going to want to help me do a news show and, contests and interview people and, do how-to videos. I've not been successful yet with that. I've got a lot of kids who are participating, but kids taking the lead, like I thought maybe I could make work, not yet. So I'm not saying it won't happen. Lots of different reasons. Some kids are just hesitant. Some kids are, the time just isn't there. Some kids are, once they're done with their have-tos, they don't want to be online anymore, and I don't disagree. So anyways, I was thinking initially my bread and butter will be the student leadership portion, and that didn't work out. So I said, okay, so what else can I bring to the table? I'm going to look around the room and see if I can recreate databases or resources. So initially, I think the smart thing I did in the combination of, if you could go to the next slide, if you would, Kristina. I think initially, maybe a lot of us relate to this, I was definitely just reactive. I was, whatever they needed or people asked for, we did, whether it was account information, technology, stuff, lists, what did they need, the physical things, whether it was teachers going home with bags of books or some kid needing an extra backpack or cleaning out the snack closet in the library. I mean, those kinds of things, it really was just getting stuff out there, making sure kids and teachers had what they need for Google Classroom and I guess the infrastructure, if you will. And we were in pretty good shape with a lot of our staff and students, but there were some that it just wasn't part of their world. I mean, we had some phys ed teachers who are amazing, and Google Classroom just wasn't something that was a need for them. So, that kind of transitions. So I would say the first week, maybe 2 weeks, I did a lot of reacting to things, responding to things, helping, and really kind of stuck a little bit and like, all right, where do I jump in? Where do I jump out? I had the 5 stages of grieving that you have, denial, anger, sadness, fine, I'll just sit here and pout, that kind of thing. So I don't know, anybody else get like that where you were just like, oh my God, what do I do? And then, of course, like all good, thinking, inspired by 1,000 different people. Sometimes the inspiration was depressing because I would look online and see people doing book clubs and chess groups and crafting groups and knitting lessons. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even, that's how I felt. Mm-hmm. So one thing that really helped me redirect my thinking to be a little more proactive, and I did put it in the Wakelet. I don't have the link handy right here, but out of New York City, under the direction of Melissa Jacobs, and many of you know her, the director of New York City Department of Ed. She and her team put together a translation of practice document, which basically, looked at what it is we do as librarians. And I know there's different communities have a little different needs and different age levels, but in terms of big concepts of who we are and what we are as educators and leaders. And then that was column A, and column B was translation. What does that look like remotely? And how that helped me was I realized where I wasn't spending time that I could. And, let's say if I was spending 8 hours a day on something that really all fell into one category, but there may be 4 other categories I hadn't even thought about. And a lot of the things that the panelists before mentioned in terms of what about the regulars that come in the library? Who's reaching out to them? What about the kids in the clubs? What about the kids who just come in every day to tell you about their kitten? And, what about our special friends who, are struggling, aren't going to be able to advocate for themselves and so on. So what that document did for me was just help me frame my thinking and prioritize, because I was starting to put in, and maybe some of you are the same way, there were days I was shutting down and like, I don't even know where to begin, and I pouted and didn't do anything. And then there were days I was online 12 hours and not sure if what I was doing had any worth, or any impact, or if it was just busy work. So what I really forced myself to do, and again, this document kind of gave me the, the hit the head, like, aha, that's what I needed. It really helped me think about what's the best use of my skill set, my strategies, my resources, and now I feel confident that I can be, well, I can't say confident, but more confident than I did 3 weeks ago. I feel a little more strategic, I guess would be the word. So I feel like now I'm being a little more proactive. So I can anticipate what people are going to need. I'm being more aggressive. And it is almost aggressive as opposed to assertive. Like, I'm just reaching out to people saying, send me the link to your next morning meeting for your kids. Send me the link to, because just being in the conversation, you're going to pick up stuff. And the teachers are so busy and overwhelmed. They don't have time to be thinking about, like, who else should I invite to this? It's not personal. It's not like we got left out. So I'm going to more events. I've even started marketing myself, and my friend Heather Turner and I came up with a idea of a Mad Chatter. So we've, or at least I've called myself that I will be the Mad Chatter and monitor the chat room for an event. Of course, I can't do everybody's all the time, but I've strategically reached out and said to somebody, hey, you teach the class, I'll manage the chat room and see if, you know, because that's hard to do both. So that's been a way where I'm getting involved and able to connect to people. So really, it's just, I went from feeling productive because I was doing stuff to total floundering because I had no idea where to go. And then I got caught up in hating all of you because so many people were doing such awesome stuff. And I thought, I can't look at Instagram or social media or Facebook because, like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't have 50 kids coming to my optional book club. Like, I don't have these, like, who are these people? And I really started to resent everybody. But I moved along. I grew up. I took a deep breath. I ate a lot of brownies. So really the proactive there, it's a lot of, you know, just putting myself on a focused strategic use of my time. So I'm doing a lot of learning for myself, which a lot of us have said we haven't had time for that in a while. I'm really thinking like a student, like what would work as a self-directed platform that if I were a student and I saw that without anybody guiding me through it, like this would put me over the edge. Like, and it's really kind of shaped my practice. I know moving forward, there are some things that I'm like, why did I do it that way before if it has to be like a tour guide for every step? Doing more differentiated teaching, knowing that there's kids who can or have different strengths and weaknesses and challenges. Really being more proactive about, we're getting all these, I'd call them trials. I know they're free stuff right now, but think of it as our best way to do trials ever. For years, I would get links to trials and not one person would look at them. And now, like, we're trying everything. And, you know, teachers are saying now, like, can we get this in real life? You know, like, when we have real life, can we buy this? You know, as opposed to some things that we've had all along, we're like, you know what? We've been paying for this for years and we don't like it. Like, we don't like it as good as the stuff that we haven't been getting. So it's really helped me in the proactive. So if you could go to the next slide. And really now I'm still all over the board. I can't lie, depending on my day, my mood, whether the sun's shining, how many brownies I've eaten. I'm really trying to do more personalized and just in doing less mass communications to people. Just because in my community, that's what's working. So, and it's going to be different everywhere. So I've been keeping a kind of a, it sounds bad, a hit list, but of my library groupies, and I reach out to them in one way. And then I've got some people that are social media kids, so then I connect with them their way. And some teachers are hating this and are not real connected, only when they have to. So I kind of jump in and, you know, just maybe they want a co-partner in teaching the class, or maybe they want me to join the class as a student so I can tell them what I see as a student. Not to, you know, somebody said, well, you're doing everybody's dirty work. And I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm just jumping in and offering to be like a part of the solution as a part of the problem. Nobody cares. I don't mean to be blunt, but nobody cares if we don't feel valued. They really don't. So it's up to us to create our own opportunities. And don't get me wrong, I've had days where I'm like sitting here crying, like, and trying like, well, I have no purpose. Nobody cares. Nobody's even come to my Google Hangout. Blah 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 blah. And thank God I have a husband who's pretty blunt, and he'll say, Sue, nobody cares. Get over it. I was like, okay, good talk. But, you know, so there's things I've tried. I've seen the virtual scavenger hunts and some fun things. Some are working fabulously. Some I've had no participation. I've tried a family outreach, and that didn't work. But, you know, what did work is that teachers were sending out information to the families, and they were looking for general information. So now I feed them with a list of things that I think families would like, and then they can share it with families. It doesn't need to come from me. It's the same. I'm just kind of providing a service. You know, this essay, I have a contest thing. This is something I haven't tried yet. We had some fundraising money that we were going to use for an event and I'm repurposing that money for an essay, podcast, song contest. So, I mean, I don't think I'm going to get hundreds of entries, whether there's money involved or not, but there are some kids that are entering, and there's some kids that are asking about it. And I'm writing to kids saying, this would be great for you. Like, I've heard you sing, or I've seen you writing. And I'm really spending a lot of time personally reaching out to kids saying, why don't you give this a shot? Pretty much 100% of the time, if I personally invited somebody to do something, they end up entering. And I feel ethical because the judges are not people from my school. So it's not like, well, I got to give this kid some points because he actually entered. I won't be one of the judges. I tried an online assembly. Everybody looked at me like, what do you mean online assembly? I had a guest speaker. They all thought I was nuts, but I'm used to that. And I tried it, and I invited kids. We invited 35 kids that we thought would best fit the message of this empowerment guest speaker. I think one of the 35 came, but I also had a backup list, and we had a hodgepodge of the people that we targeted and the ones that we didn't. And you know what? It worked. It wasn't what we planned, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. I've been asking art teachers. I'm seeing their social media posts, and I'm thinking, well, why don't I take the artwork they're posting and put it on our webpage? So I'm trying to make the library webpage. It's not as organized as the virtual one that Dr. Han talked about, but I'm just trying to find a landing page for the joke of the day and, kind of the culture kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'd be lying if I say I have it all figured out and I feel good about everything I'm doing. But I think the connection, and I know there's a country song, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And really, I think that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm taking the lead on some things. I'm jumping in, and I wouldn't call it following, but I really am taking the lead of my teachers and saying, what is it you need that would be most helpful right now? And sometimes I'm not needed, and that's okay too. And that's something I think librarians are, sometimes we are so ruthless that it's like, we have to accept sometimes nobody wants to talk to us right now. And that's why I cook a lot. I think I added one slide at the last minute. I don't know if I did or not. Can you do one more, or am I done? Yeah. I saw this quote, decluttering as we do. It's from a calendar. You can read it. Curriculums come and go, but the kindness and human relationship is the enduring thing. And I think between what Kristina mentioned and some of the other panelists, like, we have teachers in crisis. We have kids in crisis. We have families in trauma. We're struggling in our own challenges. So if there's anything I know I can bring to the table, it's compassion and heart and prizes and deliveries and, just conversation. And, I've put books in my car. I drop them off on doorsteps, and I delivered cookies to prize winners. And I know a lot of people are doing that. And just that human side of things, and it's less content and less list of ebooks and less, I changed my newsletter. I had a big spreadsheet, and now I do one little post a week to teachers with 3 tips. That's it, just 3. And then they know where to find me in the meantime. But it really has forced me to narrow down, like, if I'm only going to show 3, what are they? And I can track to see what's being looked at and not. And there's sometimes like, nobody looked at it. I have no purpose. But yeah, so I think it's just an ongoing finding the best. We have a lot to offer. We have a ton to offer, but we also can't be the thing that puts people over the edge. So, and Julie Smith, my favorite media literacy person, she always says, compare and despair is going to kill us. So if you're spending all the time looking at other people's websites and Twitter and this and that, and feeling like you're not cutting it, please stop. It's an unhealthy habit. We all do it, and it's not going to get us anywhere. Steal ideas, borrow ideas, get inspired from each other. But if what somebody else is doing and you're not, it's possible that maybe nobody wants you to do it anyway. So get over it. So I think that's it. I don't think I had a slide after that, but you guys know where to find me. I'm all over Twitter, and I'd be glad to Commiserate or inspire, whatever you're in the mood for.
What I love about you, Sue, is that you just talk from the hip, you're honest, and your story in Hacking School Libraries talks about advocacy, but really about knowing your audience. And what you're talking about is really being intent on your audience.
Yep.
And so it really follows through in your story in the book. And that's something that I've actually thought about. The more and more I've reflected on your story, the more I've been trying to be more intent with how I present material and when and how and who. So I just love your story in Hacking School Libraries and your tips today.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Sue before we go on to see if Todd is here? Okay, I do have, oh, is that yours too, Sue?
Yeah, I think that was just my final of, I've been recently kind of, again, depending on my hour of the day or day, like the what next, like what are we doing now that is going to, not on a practical level, like how are we going to clean the books and how are we going to collect the books, but like how is our whole style going to change for the good?
I've thought about that. What's September going to look like?
I've learned on a daily basis that I'm like, wow, I would never do that again, even if I could. Those kind of learning experiences.
Yep.
So I'm trying to keep the positive attitude of this is almost like a sabbatical. Like it's a different kind of sabbatical, but like we're learning a lot, and I'm sure everybody in this panel or in this group has spent every day like, wow, I didn't even know I could do that. And
well, let me tell you, with 3 kids at home, I feel like it's summer vacation without the summer and without the vacation. That's how I feel. I don't know if Todd is here, if Todd's in the house. Maybe
Kristina, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Is Todd in the house? Is Todd here? I hope Todd's feeling better. I hope he is. Well, I did want to show his slides real quick. Todd is now in the Skokie Resource Center. I have not seen this library. I know the last library he was in was amazing, and it was actually a renovated basketball court. It was on the top floor of the school. It was amazing. This is his new library. He has a virtual book club, and so this is the first novel that they've been reading. And he's doing a poetry month, and he's doing a wakelet for extensions and fun things. And I really like this idea, the weekly theme days, gratitude, Earth Week, STEM Maker, storytelling, and authors. Yeah. Weekly themes is a really good idea of sharing resources. Instead of sharing them hodgepodge, really think about when is a good time to do that, and group those resources together so there is some consistency and some connection with them. And so that is it. I'm going to come out of here. I'm going to go back in the Zoom. I'm going to press stop share, and I'm going to say hello to everyone. And I haven't seen the chat. I don't know what's going on, but I really love Sue's idea of the mad chatter. I love that idea, the mad chatter, because I like having someone in that chat room. And like I said, from some of our PD, I've been doing that mad chatter. So that's cool. I like that. I'm stealing that. So does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any comments? I hope there's something that you got from today. I'm sure there's things that you're already doing. You are all amazing, because possible is now here. Possible is now here, and I know you're doing amazing things. Does anyone want to share one, or does anyone have a question? We can wrap it up with a Q&A. We can wrap it up. Please feel free to put in more resources. I'm going to go through the transcript later. I'm going to, archive this. I will maybe maybe I'll take the recording and I'll throw it into that wakelet. And I'll also take a copy of the presentation and I'll throw it in the wakelet as well. And all these questions are really great. I hope you had an awesome time. I'm so happy, friends, that you were here with us.
There was one question that came up a couple times from Z Midler about summer and what's going on and what planning. And I know I can speak for myself. Like I don't think any summer planning is happening right now. So in terms of summer schools and that kind of stuff, I don't want to say it's not happening, but I know that conversation is not happening yet. They just announced in New York State the very likely cancellation of the New York State Fair. And if you know New York, and the cancellation of the fair will probably dictate a lot of other things, not cause and effect, just in terms of messaging. So I don't have an answer on summer, but I know that question came up a couple times.
This is Cindy. Sue and I live in the same county, and I know that our county library programs, all the summer programs, are going to be virtual programs. They're not planning on having a summer reading program in our public libraries this summer.
Times they are a-changing.
Can I say something? I really appreciate what Sue was saying too. We can't control what we can't control. Yeah. So I have my group, there's 21 elementaries, 7 middle and 3 high school librarians. And amongst them, there are some that are they're so worried about, how am I going to close out the year? How am I going to do that? Don't worry about it. This is a time that we just have to throw up our hands and say, not my job right now. And just feel that that's the good decision for us now.
We're all in this together.
I think that the found opportunities too, like for example, I know it comes up on a very practical level. I totally understand the shared reading experience and the simultaneous access and every kid having the same book, because it's, there's 1,000 advantages to that. But we also as librarians spend a whole lot of time whining the fact that why don't kids have a choice in what they read, and why do we all have to read the same book, and what if I don't want to read about giraffes and I want to read about turtles? Now is our opportunity. You could say, like, you know what, we can't all get the same book, and oh boo-hoo-hoo, it's not going to happen, and maybe it's a different kind of assessment a teacher's going to do. But let's be honest, what assessment matters now anyways? I don't want to be blunt, but it's more about experiences and getting kids, we want them reading, we want them engaged, we want them and doing productive things. But this, I had a teacher today she's like, well, I'm going to have to cancel X, Y, and Z unit because we can't all get the same book. It's like, oh my God, like that's where we come in to say, well, pick a theme, pick a topic, pick a format, we're all going to do a graphic novel and find whatever you can find. We're all going to do a song. We're all going to do a poem. So I think something as simple as the shared reading experiences, or we all have to have this, or what are we going to do about this? Like, this is, to me, we got to look at it as opportunity. I know it's not, I don't have all these moments all the time, don't get me wrong, but there's sometimes things are just plain frustrating and annoying and a loss. But other times it's like, you know what, let's give it a run. Like, what do we got to lose? It's better than not trying at all, is my feeling.
Mary Lou reached out to me. She has she wants to say a few words. Mary Lou, did you want to share?
Oh, yes. One of the things that we decided to do, I'm in New Hampshire at an elementary school with about 550 kids. So my related arts team, we paired up. So we use Seesaw, and what we're doing is we meet once a day with the grade level, all of us together in a Zoom chat, and we pick like one theme. So if it's birds, then we're all going to do work on birds. And then we get a chance for the whole grade level to meet with us. We might get 70 kids or however many kids.
Oh, wow.
I know, which is amazing to us. And then we're able to each host a meeting and talk to the kids about what the choice, just like we said, choice activities, nothing that's going to be graded. But if we all have the same theme, and I do like a read aloud and a fiction and a nonfiction, and offer some choices, and offer like a digital resource, a different one each week, a trial, then the art teacher can pick an activity that goes with it. Music, Makerspace, if you have a person, so and PE. So it's been, at first they weren't really wanting to do a theme, and it took a little while to convince them, but the outpouring of the response from the school has been amazing. And then they share their work to us on Seesaw, and we can go on and comment with a voice comment or a written comment. It does take quite a bit of time to get to that many kids to do this, but it is working. And now we've rolled out a new phase, and we're actually on our own. Each class has time that is set up for kids to come and meet. So today I had like third and fourth for library. And then we can answer any questions they might have about the lessons that the activities we've, offered. But then they can also, I did some read alouds and tried to continue off like where we left off. And any authors I've been able to get in touch with have shared feedback with us, things I can share with the kids too. So it seems to have taken some time, but I really appreciate hearing from everybody today. I've got about 6 pages of notes now, some ways that I can connect with my staff, because I find like it's a lot of distress calls that I'm getting from people. And I like as Sue said, I don't want to be we do have to be reactive. But also we want to really be proactive about this and think that it's nothing's being graded. Susan Ballard always says this too. What are the kids going to remember? How kind we were. Be the librarian that you remember that you had, or you want the kids to remember you for.
Right. They're going to remember this time for the bad parts of it.
Right.
Give them something to remember that's good.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's about perspective. I have to share that. I don't know if you've seen these little cards that come from mental health organizations. They have information on the back. So I took a pile. I use them for bookmarks, and this one says never put key to happiness your key to happiness in somebody else's pocket. So I've been using these to mail at home to kids as bookmarks. Well, here, talk about perspective. So I'm thinking I'm doing all happy. One teacher said to me, "I'm glad you sent me the number for the suicide prevention hotline," which that wasn't my intent. And she was kind of joking, but I was like, oh my God, even something as simple as this, depending on people's perspective, like, oh, thanks for the inspiration or thank you for the lifeline, like one or the other. So yeah. we have to jump in and be what people need, and it may be different every minute of the day. But that's our strong suit. That's what we do best.
Being flexible. Being there what people need us to be. Sometimes it's not what we want it to be, but being there for what people need. That was a quote that I heard at a school library summit, the leadership summit, and advocacy is solving someone else's problem and being their value add. It's not so much of what we think that we're needed, but listening. What do people need and solving that problem? Because that's what they're going to remember. That's what they're going to say, oh, this is what I need the library for. That's the advocacy.
I'd like to also amplify something that Sue said a little earlier about, what you're doing might not look like what everyone else is doing. And that's true, even through the grade levels, right? I mean, what's happening in my K through 3 schools and the 4 through 6 school and 7 through 8 school is totally different than what's happening in the 9 through 12 school. So I think that's really important too, that comparison thing, and just doing what your community needs. That's always been my go-to in regular times, typical times. So just thinking about, what does our community need? What are those gaps? How can we fill them in and assist teachers? And it may look completely different in every school.
I totally agree. I am a victim of that compare and despair. I look at things and I'm like, that is amazing, that is amazing, and that is amazing. But you're right. The people who I serve, what's amazing for them? You're right. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
Hi. My name is Celia Taylor. I'm in South Florida, near Fort Lauderdale. And what I feel like parents want some input. And I have shared my SMORE newsletter with them where I send it all year long. And maybe I get 100 or 200 parents that open it. But last month, I got almost 800 parents opening my newsletter to get into different kinds of resources for their kids. I have created a digital makerspace and I update it every week with different games and different little activities for them. So connecting with parents is an important thing.
Yes.
Awesome. 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 You rock, Celia. Those are great ideas. Yes. A lot of, some parents don't even know what goes on in libraries. Yeah. They only know what they grew up with.
Exactly.
That's another part of advocacy, getting out there and let parents see they are the taxpayers. That's what it comes down to, budget time. Oh, we don't have a school librarian in this school? Oh, I didn't know that. Our school library has books that, the average from, 1980. I didn't know that. They're not going to know until you tell them or you show them what you can bring to the table. Great ideas.
Hi, I'm Jill Adler from Long Island. May I say a couple of words?
Awesome. Go for it.
So I feel very validated because a couple of things that were being said today was pure topics of our conversations today, both our academic council meeting and our staff meeting. I'm in a private high school on Long Island with about 2,400 students. And just today with my staff, I have 2 library people who work with me, and I said to them, here's my task now. And I said, I do not want to be a one-hit wonder. We're trying all these great things. We're pushing our way in. We're not taking no for an answer. We're raising our hand. We're saying, how can we help? We don't care what you ask us to do. We'll do anything. How can we support our community? What can we do to help? Where can we help train students? Where can we help train parents and help support our teachers? And so that was one of my tasks for them. And I said, I don't expect an answer in 25 minutes of a staff meeting. I said, but moving forward, this is what I want to see. What are we doing now that works? What isn't working that we've done before? What are these new tools that we're using? What can we then bring forward? So it was really validating to hear others say that as well. One of the fun things we just thought of today is we have our seniors and our seniors for our high school end May 8th. And so, which different from, we've always had that, whether we're in or out of school, our seniors always end earlier than the rest of our school. And it's usually a big send off and a big celebration, and it's a lot of fun. So all the teachers, they were talking about, how they were going to try and recreate something. So we're doing, we just created a whole library send off. So we're hoping that some of our library kids and our, students, we just made a cute little invite for them, and we're going to invite them through our Google Classroom and on our social media. And hopefully we won't be the only ones in that Google Meet when we do it. And we'll have some of our seniors join us, and we can help, celebrate them. And we're going to do it the day before their last day, so we don't interfere with the teachers. But, we really put a lot of hard work in, and like many of you, we're not always seeing those, tick marks on our statistics and things like that, but it's not going to stop us. And we're hoping that we do have some faces that join us in our senior send-off. I have my own senior college daughter who today just shared the most beautiful thing with me. Her teacher, her professor, also was sad that the students were leaving and they couldn't have graduation. So she played Pomp and Circumstances and invited each one of the students to say hi, and then clapped and cheered for them. And I just broke down and cried when she shared that video. So yeah, so every little thing that we do, really does make a difference to these kids on the human side. So I just wanted to share that. So thank you.
Thank you, Jill. I actually saw on Twitter, if you could look for on Twitter, there was a college, a medical university, and what they did was they had the students graduating read the Hippocratic Oath, and they were on Flipgrid. So they had someone, saying, you are the graduating class of yada, yada, yada. And, I'm going to find that. I'm going to put it in the Wakelet resource. And you have each person, just thinking about it, just makes me like, wow. Each person saying, repeating the Hippocratic Oath. So think of like a virtual yearbook. Think of it that way. With Flipgrid, it's very easy. You could download those QR codes, make a slideshow out of them, celebrate those seniors. This is something that we can do as librarians. Equity and access, right? We know we have access to, all the grade levels, all the students, all the teachers. We are the unifiers. We are the connectors. I saw Melissa write this. This is our time to shine, and it certainly is. Teachers are thinking of their class, their subject area. We think of everyone and everything, right? And so give your permission to yourself to fail. Sue will be your cheerleader for failing. Think about your students and how, what you can do to help them with writing. Think about, like Tim, think about their heart, like Anita. Think about what you can do. Maybe it's not exactly what you want to do, but how you're going to help people like Stony. All right. Think of what you can do. I'm so blessed to have spent this time with you today. I thank you very much for joining us. I'm not kicking you out of the room. It's paid for, so you can stay out as long as you want and have as many people as you want, have a party. The weekly resource is going to be filled. We're going to add more links. If you have any links that you'd like us to add, drop them in there. You know my website. Send me the links. We'll put this in there. I am blessed. I see all these webinars going on, and I see all these great remote learning activities, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm at a buffet and I want to eat everything. I want to try every tool. I want to read every book. I want to read everything, and I can't. As long as there's one of you out there doing the good work that I want to do and that we all want to do, then it's being done. Then it's being done for someone, somewhere. It's being done. And I don't have to do everything. And you don't have to do everything. It's being done. And I don't know if anyone else, any panelists wants to join in. Stony, would you like to say something? I mean, we have a great group of people here.
Thank you for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed this. I think we all needed this moment together.
I think so. I think so. Tim, Anita, Sue.
No,
anyone?
Just take this as an opportunity to try new things, and when you're having one of those moments, hours, days, step away, and you're human, and you got bigger priorities than what you're doing each and every day in your own life, so you got to balance that too.
Absolutely. I'd just like to jump in about the self-care piece. Like we're all about, as librarians, taking care of everybody else and making sure our whole school is all set, but make sure that you are taking care of yourself and finding ways to fill yourself with joy during this time as well.
And I'm sorry I'm late to the party. I'm so sad I missed the first hour. But I just want to say it's so nice to see so many friendly faces. Kristina, I love you. Sue, it's nice to see you. And Anita, and so many people that I know. And just really get involved with your state associations. It's such an amazing network, and we're all here for one another. And it's just really great to see all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
And since we're plugging things, you know, I'm on the AASL board of directors. So if there's some way that I can help you all with something, please reach out to me.
Awesome. Anyone else want to say something? Share something that you're doing in your school. Ask a question. We're here. It's up to you. I'm not kicking you out.
I did put in the comments, today was so exciting. The two other middle school librarians and we were really struggling with connecting with our students and feel very detached from our students. And so we created a live from the library news show that we're gonna do every week. And the Bitmoji backgrounds were the funnest thing that I've done in like the last, I don't know, in my life basically. So we're gonna record it every week. We were live today and we had over 200 viewers. I don't really know how many of our students were those viewers because I shared it pretty far and wide, but it's gonna be recorded so that students can see it later and teachers can share it. And it's just showing opportunities for both our kids in our local community, but then kind of beyond a little bit as well, and just a way to connect. So just take some risks and take some time to figure out some of these apps and tools that you just haven't had time to look at before. I feel like that's something that's been really exciting. I do have a lot of downtime, it feels like, throughout my day, and a lot of flexibility with how I organize my time, where when I'm at school, it's not really the same situation. So just have some fun with some of these things. And Kristina, I loved your response to my tweet, and I haven't even had a chance to look at it, but like app smashing like 17 different things with what I was doing. So I'm really going to try to look at that this week and later next week and just kind of try to utilize that, because I love Flipgrid. I love Bitmoji. So just trying to put some of these things together that our students will think are fun, and then teaching our teachers how to do it, and then encouraging our students to get involved. I think there's just so many opportunities to make learning fun. And I really hope that's one of the things that comes out of this whole like dramatic time in our life is learning should be joyful. I mean, that's what I've been trying to tell people forever in my life. Like if it sucks, it's not what we should be doing. And if you can't answer the who cares and so what,
we need to change it. So I think that's where librarians can come in and just give some of those really joyful learning opportunities to take hold. So thank you.
I love that. Melissa, I'm so sorry I missed that because I was preparing for this, but please put the link in here and we're going to put it in the Wakelet too because I really wanted to see that.
You already asked. It's going to be there. So we're going to be
I already put it in
next Tuesday.
I put Melissa's link in there already in the
Awesome. Thank you, Mad Chatter.
I also just want to shout out to Jill for the ideas about seniors because we're just starting those conversations as well. Our seniors actually aren't done until the end of May. We go until the end of June. So we are just having those conversations. And while I was listening to everybody, I was thinking about how, you know, I usually do a listening lunch in the library, and why couldn't I, you know, do some sort of Google Meet with a listening lunch that's just for seniors or something to showcase them and to give them that opportunity to have kind of a fun time. So again, thanks for everyone's ideas today as well. I appreciate it.
I know my friend Penny and Heather, who were on here before, and probably others are doing lunch with a librarian, and they literally are just having a hangout, having lunch, because again, there's a lot of that relationships that has happened with kids in real time, so why not do it virtually? You know, coffee with a librarian, whatever.
Right.
Happy hour's probably pushing it.
Well, I mean, if you, and even like for your, like, I had a librarian reach out to me like weeks ago when this first started, and she didn't understand her role, and she had not been given a role. And I just said, open up, do a Google Meet, and just say, you know, BYOC, bring your own coffee. You know, people would go into the library, and I think they had like a little Keurig, and that's how they fundraise for their Makerspace. So do a BYOC. We need to connect with one another, and it doesn't all have to be academic.
Yeah, in our school, every Friday we're doing a coffee time. So Friday morning from 8 to 9 is coffee. And then every other morning, the administrators are available on a Google Meet for us to just pop in like we normally would in the office to say hello and ask questions and such. But yeah, creating those opportunities. My challenge has more been that I'm so scheduled because we're staying to a schedule. So I'm with classes during the scheduled time, and then trying to find time to do things outside of that has been, you know, really making for really long days for me. So starting at, you know, 7 or 8 in the morning and going to 7 or 8 at night with answering emails and assisting teachers. So I kind of have the opposite problem, which, you know, maybe people don't want to hear that. But it's just been challenging to fit it all in. And I think, you know, it's all dependent also on what our situation was before this happened, right? And where we were at that point too.
I think the irony is that with distance, we're beginning to learn how important we need each other and to be physically near each other and building relationships in a way that hasn't been like that before. We need each other even more because of the distance.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
You know?
Kristina, you came to our BOCES, you were at our BOCES a few weeks ago, and you made me start thinking more outside the box. And I really wanted to tell you, I really appreciate that. Because I'm like, you're like, have the students do it. Have the students do it. So I thought, well, what if we can't go back to school this year? And my 8th graders can't teach my 5th graders how to fly the drone, and they can't earn their drone permit.
I remember that, yeah.
So I actually had my meeting with my video production club yesterday. It was like one of our best meetings. And some of the students, I'm like, well, let's research what kind of equipment we need next week and think about what we want to put on our grant. And then I talked to my 8th grade student. I'm like, I think you'd be great. We can do a remote training. I'll drop the drone off at your house. You can actually fly it and practice with it and use it in your training videos. And he was like so excited. And he messaged me later. He goes, Mrs. Beanie, can you give me the link to the grant? He's going to write the grant.
Oh,
so
yes.
you really, really, I want to tell you how much you made me. I'm so excited and made me think outside of the box and how can we still stay connected and do what's best for our students. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, that makes me smile. I'm so happy that your student is empowered to do these great things.
Can I say I have my one of my best tools in the library has always been my camera. So I always take pictures of candid shots of the kids. And so this group of fifth graders who I won't be able to see again until they come back to school next year, if they visit, I've had them since kindergarten. So since kindergarten, I have pictures of them. So with Google Photos, of course, you could identify one face and it will find all the other pictures. So I'm making albums for them of their time with me at the library.
Awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. That is beautiful. It is just another idea. I have somewhere, I have a video. I've been using Flipgrid for years. I have a video of a student watching his own Flipgrid from 2 years ago, because I only taught, it was middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And I showed him, I said, this is you. And he's like, oh my gosh, and that's my friend so-and-so, and this is what we're doing. They love that. And the fact that you have photos for them to look at, that means more, honestly, than anything else.
I also shared it with, I did one already for one student. I sent it to her because she had emailed me and said she was going to miss me and blah, 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 made me cry. So I sent that album to her mother. Again, her mother was just, she said, this brought tears to my eyes. So again, it's that family connection that we make as well. So I'm also having the fifth graders also make a video to say goodbye, to farewell, and then giving fourth graders advice for next year. So that's something that the high school seniors could do too, is to make a wee video and then make a project and then link them all together so it's one.
Yes, because you remember, they have some of those videos where they have the seniors come back to the elementary school and walk the halls. That's what it's reminding me of. That's a great hack, Rhonda. I love that.
This has been great, but I gotta go.
That's okay. That's okay.
So I hate to have to go because I'm getting all these other kids, right?
Go. I feel badly. I don't want to kick anyone out. Everyone, we have got stuff. I think we all need that time to kind of like vent and kind of just like, just release all this pent up, anxiousness and whatever. So thank you, Rhonda.
All right. And until next time. Nice to meet you, Kristina.
Bye.
And face to face. Bye.
Yes, bye.
I'm going to go too, so my husband stays happy.
You do that.
Take care, Kristina. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Anyone, you feel free. I don't want to kick anyone out. So if anyone has anything to say, some people like smaller groups, I'm here. No worries if you go, no worries if you stay.
Kristina, thank you so much for inviting me into this. It was an honor and a pleasure, really.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your awesomeness.
Thank you. Keep in touch.
Oh, right, Captain, my captain.
All right, bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
You know what the students say when they leave, right? They say, I'm out.
I'm out.
Hey, Kristina. Will this be available? I see this is being recorded. Will it be available? I'd really have a couple of people that weren't able to make it tonight, but I think would really, really like this. So
sure. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my Google Drive and then take the link and put it in the Wakelet. And so all your resources will be together as well as the presentation. And honestly, I think this is something for administrators. I think we need an administrator/librarian meeting one day.
Yes, most definitely. That would be fantastic. Well, if we put that together, I would definitely come. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.